Deadlock has over 30 characters, and every single one of those characters has so many builds. And, spoilers, most of those builds are pretty bad. What's up friends, this is Metro, and today we're gonna figure out the best builds for every single character in the game. I'm gonna go from A to Z, from Abums to the Z hero that doesn't exist, and I'll give you one or two options per build, and I will also go into what makes the build good and how to play the build. So let's get right into it, long video probably. Okay, Abums first, and the funny thing is, I don't actually play Abums. So, what makes Abums a good character? He's very tanky, he's very strong right now, right? So you want to build tanky on him. A lot of green items are always good. But you can also, obviously, he can guarantee heavy melees if you play properly. So melee items work really well on him. Also, spirit items work really well on him because his one aura has so much potential if you scale it, right? I think you want to look for something like Ido's build here, right? You have a hybrid character that builds really tanky with double barriers are really strong on him. The more HP you have, the more base HP you have, the better resists become, right? Because they work percentage based on your HP. So Abums is one of the best characters in the game to build resists on. So double early barriers is actually very insane. And then, yeah, you want movement, and this is a hybrid build that probably works really, really well. I like this build. I love the distribution, like he's getting the right items, super high mobility, right? And then a nuke potential with Cold Front and obviously Warpstone, but he's still really tanky. I think win for the popular Abums builds right now is Ido. Okay, yeah, so in case you don't know, Bebop recently got a buff to gun, okay? In case you also don't know, the meta right now is all spirit nuke damage. And in case you don't know, everyone buys debuff remover or counterspell or both. Now Bebop bombs don't work against that because you can just debuff remove them or counterspell them, right? So, in case you're wondering how to play Bebop right now if you want to win, it's gun, 100%. You still will stack up sticky bomb damage, right? And if you're smart and you're a bit more advanced, you can stick targets that don't have counterspell or debuff remover. But the higher you go in rating, the more people will have that. So you're basically, yeah, you're basically running full gun tank, right? And Bebop can tank a lot. And this is the best item in the game right now for Bebop. And it might be one of the best items in the game in general. Whale Walker is fucking crazy. Because it basically gives you, if you use it properly, it gives you so much regen, so much movement speed, right? Plus it gives you both base health and spirit power. It's just better than Fortitude. If you want to be more tanky, while also doing more damage, while being faster, this is just the best item in the game. And some people actually rush this in lane. But I think this build is good to follow, right? You build Cultist early, so you get more weapon damage, more health, and obviously you can farm pretty fast with this. And then you just run around the map, and you giga tanky. And at this point, by the way, 18k, you have 29% spirit resist and 23 bullet resist on base, right? Plus Bebop is so tanky in general, right? And then you just go more damage. And this is interesting. I haven't played Bebop myself, but I think Bebop is one of the characters where Blood Tribute is actually really, really strong. The downside of Blood Tribute is obviously the healing reduction mostly, right? The HP drain doesn't really matter, but it's a pretty hard item to use, I want to say, because when you have this on, you don't want to pop Vampiric, right? So, yeah. Okay, a good point, by the way, Goober. If you don't like Blood Tribute, you can just go Hunter's Aura. If you're not confident with toggling this on and off, because this item does require some brain, right? You need to know when to turn it on, when to turn it off, because it can kill you if you turn it on at the wrong time. But it is also really insane, right? If you turn it on at the right time, 50% debuff resist means you basically take like no damage from like stuns, or you don't get stunned like at all, right? Like it's like crazy debuff resist. This item is like the most sleeper item in the game, and it works amazing on Bebop. So yeah, Bebop gun, Goober Bebop. Okay, I'll be fair here. There's two routes you can go with Billy, in my opinion. And one route is a hybrid build, which both of my builds are kind of hybrid builds, where you get some melee items, but you also get gun items, right? Right now I'm running Gun Billy mostly because I enjoy it the most, but you still get early melee items in my build, where if you haven't watched my full Billy guide, it's out on YouTube, if you want 40 minutes of Billy Yap, but you want to go either full gun or you do early melee items to stay alive, and then you go into the gun route, right? Billy just doesn't scale super well with like spirit. So hybrid is one of the ways you could go, and you run Metro Gun Billy, or what other people enjoy, and I have to mention this build. I don't enjoy it as much, but I think it's a very, very solid build. This build is just full gun. Basically what Lightbringer, the coach of VP or Buff Enjoyers does is he skips all the melee items together and he goes straight into gun. Which means you have a really early power spike in gun damage. But I will mention the one thing I don't like as much about the build is that you don't have as much survivability early on. You don't get as much health back. From my experience, at least on Billy, in the mid game, the only thing that can really kill you is you. Okay, this sounds really stupid. The only thing that can shut Billy down is him dying. Now, this might... Okay, that sounds really dumb. But what I'm saying is, he does enough damage anyways. You just want to live through everything, right? As long as you live, you do more damage, right? So I think building Billy with a lot of tankiness and regen is good. Now, this build has a lot of tankiness, but it doesn't have regen necessarily, right? It's very burst oriented, so you can't really sustain as long in the fights. You can still use your blaster to get health back with melees, obviously, but I really think melee lifesteal is great. But you should try out both of them. I linked them both. Metro Gun Billy or All-In Goat by Lightbringer.
Hello, darling.
I played Calico the other day. Right now, I gotta be honest. If you enjoy Calico, she's not bad, but she's a tank nuker that just does less than the other tank nukers, right? She's less tanky and less nuky than both Abums and Moon Krill. And something like Billy can do the same job in a sense, right? Where Billy can go in, disrupt the entire fight and do a lot of melee damage way easier. I'm not saying Calico needs a lot more buffs, but her gun is very weak. So the way you play Calico right now is full green-purple. Her scaling got buffed on both the Gloom Bombs and the Leaping Slash. So you need a lot of purple items to make this character work. Otherwise, she's just not gonna do much. So if you look at the build page, do not run any gun builds. And luckily enough for this character, it really seems like there are not a lot of gun builds. I also think melee is kind of bait on this character because people are ready to parry, and I think especially heavy melees are pretty weak right now. They got nerfed like a few patches ago. A good player will parry you. Like baiting out parries with heavy melees is pretty tough. So I don't think Crushing Fist is a great item. And I don't think you want to play Calico as like a heavy melee character. You want to build it as like a spirit assassin. So I guess this is the build I played. I think it's very good. You basically just build very tanky and you then go into spirit items and you get your spirit power up really high and then you start nuking people with like Scourge, right? So you just go in with Scourge and you're just being an annoying bitch with Scourge Torment Pulse and you do your damage over time just by existing basically on Calico. That being said, I don't have a Calico build myself. Fortitude I consider a pretty weak item, but it's the best item in the game for Calico. Because Calico wants to be in cat form, and Calico is like the only character in the game where you run around a lot and farm boxes instead of creep camps. I don't like Fortitude on other characters, but on Calico it's actually kind of a must-have. You can, if you want to, you can run Veilwalker instead. It's the same price, and it makes the rotations of Calico insanely fast, right? Because if you buy Veilwalker, I'll show you real quick. So let's say we don't buy Fortitude and we buy Veilwalker instead. The rotation speed of the cat is crazy. Because the cat movement scales with movement speed. So this is crazy movement speed, right? Like we're running at 30 meters a second. Which is like absolutely crazy, obviously, for rotations, right? You're gonna be across the map in like... Yeah, you're gonna be across the map really fast. Piggy has been grinding this hero since it came out. And Piggy is probably the scariest Doorman on the ladder. He has insane tech, and I know Hoot has been playing him too, but I think Piggy is actually better at Doorman. Like, Piggy is crazy on Doorman. I've played against Hoot's Doorman yesterday, it was not as impressive. Like, he is gonna find a teleport and teleport you into their walker at like 10 minutes somehow. He has some crazy tech, and I think the build he is running is really strong. So while I'm not the most advanced Doorman player, I 100% know this build is very insane. And Piggy is very good at build crafting as well. I know some people like to run gun Doorman, and I think there's merit to it. But if you want to run a gun carry, why not run a character that is actually stronger with the gun? I think if your entire team is Spirit, you can shift to gun, you know, and like give your team more variety in damage. So it's definitely doable, but I have to recommend Piggy's Doorman here. Oh, this guy is the main reason I'm making this video, by the way. So this dude makes troll builds for every character and somehow gets them popular. And by the way, these are fake builds. I don't know how this guy keeps them popular, but this is called VP Zergy build, but it's a troll guy and he's running Tesla bullets. And if you know anything about Tesla bullets, it only works if you have really high fire rate. So if you run this on Drifter, you will not proc this nearly enough to make it ever worth it. Yeah, and there's other troll builds, like what is this? Like Trophy Collector in mid-game after you run Cultist Tesla. So yes, watch out for fake builds is my point. Parzilion's Gun Drifter is probably the most solid. You can run Drifter as like a hybrid, but I think Gun Drifter for ladder purposes is probably the strongest. So for Drifter, right now, I will recommend Parzilion's Gun Drifter. I have to mention another build, which is Xeno's, and this build is really good, I think. So Xeno runs very similar builds, but then he goes Veilwalker or Fortitude, which I go Veilwalker every time. And you are actually insane in damage here. Like, this is a crazy good build. And he has a really good skill order as well. Like, he gets early 1 max and he ignores the 3 almost completely. And then he gets a 2 max. And he just feels so mobile and so strong with this build. This character kind of sucks right now, no? Like, Dynamo is like really weak until like super late game. And then you can actually 1v6 carry if you hit a black hole. But like, nah, guys, nobody's playing this character because it's just kind of weak. So the builds are not up to date. So we gotta find something here in the top list that is actually like feasible. Okay, average Jonas is running Cheat Death and Trophy Collector. I'm sorry, I love you, Jonas. I think Jonas is a really funny guy. And he's very good when he wants to. But any build that has Trophy Collector in it is irrelevant because this item is the worst item in the game. Sorry, second worst item after Cheat Death. Okay, I think this looks feasible, actually. So I like the build order. You get early rapid recharge, you get Surge of Power on the 1. This is a stomp build. And then we probably compress cooldown on the 1. Mystic Burst is a bit late. You probably want to run Mystic Burst or Tank Buster earlier. But I think this is pretty good. The Blood Tribute is kind of weird. I'm gonna recommend the Fastest Blitzer by Shaky Wakey. But yeah, main reason there's not that many good builds on this character is because the character is just not very strong right now. If you play this character well, it's the most obnoxious nuker in the game, bro. So right now, the way you play Talon is you put compressed cooldown on the bird. The bird is like the most insane ability on him, right? Like arrows one-shot you, but if you have Guided Owl on a 90-second cooldown or later in the game even lower, it's crazy, right? Like a Guided Owl is insane, right? It can get kills across the map, plus it can scout, plus it can deny or steal mid-boss. This character is actually very strong if played correctly. It's just that you kind of need a team, right? Like he by himself can't solo carry. But I think I'm gonna recommend this Vegas build because it has all the items that you kind of want on this character. I don't know if he's running Surge of Power on the... I think he's running Surge of Power on the arrows. It makes sense. So this is a hybrid build that focuses a lot on the nuke damage on the arrows, but also makes the owl really strong. Yeah, I mean, this is solid. I don't play Haze a lot. I don't have my own build, but this has been the Haze meta for a long time. I will recommend my boy Situation. Core, you get like, you know, early Fury Trance, and then you go Siphon. And if you want to, if you need like disables, you can go Slowing Hex. One thing I'll mention is Situation does not like Silence Wave as much for whatever reason. It is true that Slowing Hex actually disables most abilities that can get away from Haze anyways, but you can very easily run Silence Wave here. If you want to do more of a supporty, pick Haze, right, where you run around Invis and use Sleep Dart, Silence Wave, ult, you can do that too, but it is true that you can do the same thing with Slowing Hex. So it's a very versatile build. As I said, on the top there's core items, and then depending on what you need, you can buy the counters, you know, and you can build more into ult, like use Warp Stone to get around in ult. But like the main thing is still, you want to get to Siphon Bullets as fast as possible, or you run Slowing Hex or Silence Wave. So Situation, which is like a collab with Parzilion, I'm pretty sure. Because Parzilion's is literally the same build, a bit different order. I guess he was running Tesla. So I recommend the situation build. This guy has been playing Haze for over a year. That's all he does. Yeah, I don't know enough about this character to give you super deep insight on this. I don't really play her, but you don't run a full gun, right? Like the strength of Holliday will always be that she can get in and out very fast with the jump pads. The nuke from the powder kegs is still really strong. And obviously she has the ult, right? Which is like her main pick tool. So, Saya Gun Holliday. I don't know why it's called gun, because yeah, there's some gun damage items in here, but like there's a lot of like spirit. You know, I would call this a hybrid build, which is probably the way to go on Holliday. Infernus! Okay, I'm pretty opinionated about how to play Infernus right now. So last patch, his spirit damage got nerfed quite a bit. Before then, the meta was all rapid recharge and perma dash, right? Where you would just run around. But I think, in my opinion, right now, the way to play Infernus is gun. Zergi's build is probably the easiest to follow here. It's very strong. It still runs rapid recharge, right? But he does have enough gun items. Like, it's not like a full dash build, because he's still gonna go into items that do a lot of gun damage, like, or improve his spirit damage on the targets, right? So, Ricochet Leech, Warp Stone, and then like Toxic Bullet Spirit Rend. Buds, yeah, I have to mention actually. Buds always, Buds is the Infernus goat. I don't know if Cultist is that good on Infernus, right? Like, ability range is not super necessary, I want to say, on Infernus, but I guess the fire rate helps with the burn. And Buds always knows what he's doing on Infernus. This build is more gun focused for sure than Zergi's, but the items are very similar, right? Like, Buds is running more gun items early and then going rapid recharge later. Because it's still a core item, it still allows you to get in and out of the fights easier, right? You always want to buy this, but this is not like a perma dash build. You still go in, burn them, and then you run around, right? So yeah, I can recommend both. I think you try them out both and you see which one you like more. This is more gun focused early and Zergi's is more spirit focused early. So either the Buds build, which is like the Infernus go-to guy, or the Zergi Infernus, not the perma dash. All right, Ivy. Some people think this character is bad, but she's very strong. And the thing with Ivy is, this is actually one of the few characters in the game that can play a lot of different playstyles. You can go full support, where you don't farm a lot, where you go like Rescue Beam, and you play for your team. And then you can go full Spirit, where you do a lot of Katsu Bomb nuking. But you can also build into full gun, where you actually are a carry character, right? So I have to recommend multiple builds here, because I will mention Ivy is probably the most versatile character in the game right now with builds, where you can run a lot of different things. So I know this build is really strong for gun. This is, again, the coach of Buff Enjoyers. So if you want to try gun carry Ivy, where you have to farm a lot, but you're going to do a lot of gun damage, you're going for the Lightbringer build, Lens Ivy Bomber. I do think the one downside of this build is it's quite hard to follow for a new player, because there's a lot of choices you have to make. So I'll recommend this build, just don't buy Trophy Collector, and if you want to help your team, maybe like, you know, get like a Guardian Warden, or maybe buy a Rescue Beam. Second choice is Lens Ivy Bomber if you want to go for more spirit. I have to say it, I will share the secret nobody wants you to know about. This character is the best gun character in the game right now. You might think I'm joking, but I'm not. Mcginnis can come close. But if you want to go full gun carry damage, this character actually does more gun damage than like Haze and Vyper, if you play it correctly. Unironically, I think if you want to win games on Kelvin, and I might like throw some games for some people watching this video now, but if you want to win and carry on Kelvin, you go for gun build, right? Your dome is still insane. You don't have to build spirit for it, you know? You can run a support build where you run like rapid recharge on the nades, right? Where you run like support items. But I genuinely think the way to go on this character is gun. Now, it's just about like we just have to figure out which gun build is the best. But they're all very similar. And Hapax's looks very solid. So I will recommend Hapax's build here. This does not look like a bad build to me. I mean, Deathies. I don't know why people in chat are hating on Deathies. This looks very solid, no? And I think it's also more applicable to like lower rank because it has rapid recharge. This item goes crazy with life drain, right? You can just perma suck everyone. Like, this is like a super tanky build. The one thing I find questionable is early toxic bullets, I guess. Right? Like, maybe you would run toxic bullets later, but I'll recommend it. Deathy's gun. So this is a hybrid build, and it's mostly on the suck. It looks very good to me. And I'll also recommend Xenos. So for Lady Geist, we do Deathy. And we do Xeno. If Xeno is more gun focused, he's not running rapid. So if you want to do full gun or mostly gun damage, right, you will still spam your abilities on Geist no matter what, right? But if you want to be more gun focused, run the Xeno Geist. Okay, this is obviously a meme. Pazillion is smart enough to know it's not Giga OP. That's why he named it Giga OP. Okay? Pazillion, this build is very good. I like it. Remove this item, okay? And I will recommend, okay? Alright, thank you, Pazillion. Guys, these Raze builds seem to be very... Okay, so listen. Ray is very nice from what I heard. Okay, she's a big part of the community. He's also like Archon. I get like, you can play... Like, I find it cool that Ray made builds for every single playstyle. But clearly, some of them have to be weaker than others, right? Because there's no shot that all these playstyles are equally viable. You built her like a gun character. Right, you split push and you build gun. You can still run some spirit items to make the spirit ability stronger and the healing stronger, but you definitely don't go full old build. It's not viable right now. You definitely don't go full turret build, and you definitely don't go invest a lot into spirit. You want to have more gun and more survivability. I have to recommend Lightbringer, who again updated the build, and I trust Lightbringer. He knows what he's doing. You know, he's coaching for the best team in the game, and his builds are very solid always. And as you see, right, he has some spirit focus early to make the ability stronger, but then he goes into full gun / survivability, right? And then you just become a late game carry. And see, this is what I mean. It's actually very hard for a new player to figure out what build is good, because there's so many popular ones. And I'm not saying Rays are all bad, right? I'm sure, like, if you look at, like, yeah, I'm sure if we look at this, it's pretty solid. I'd like, see, I don't mind this, right? Like early Arcane Surge and then survivability and gun, I don't mind this. Even though, no, it's good. I like this actually. But the other builds, you know, like probably not really playable. And then you buy this and you build like Mcginnis full support and then your team feeds their brains out. Which, by the way, full support is not even that bad, but you definitely don't want to go Turrets Reborn.
Summoning the patrons.
Oh my god, it's Mina. My favorite character in the game for no particular reason. Mina is very strong. From what I've seen, I've played this myself. This is very easy to follow. It's a very solid build order too. Cosmetical, we have to, yeah, I have to shout out my goat Cosmetical actually. Cosmetical is probably the best Mina on EU ladder. I'm gassing up Cosmetical too hard right now, but he knows what he's doing on the character and I've played against him and he doesn't die. And he nukes you in 1 second. Okay. I will cut this short. This character is boring as fuck and nobody really enjoys playing him right now. This is still the most solid build. Crayon has had this build for a while. Nothing really changed. Like, you still do most of your damage with the gun, but the early spirit helps with the burst. So I will recommend Crayon gun testing for Mirage, simply because I know from I've seen Mirage players play. These are like, this is just a very solid build. Also, he does have shred items in, right? Like, it's just like optional. Like, he's running Crippling Headshot kind of late. You can run it earlier. He has it in here. You can run this earlier if you want, but like, this is a super solid build order.
Don't mind the big guy.
Okay, on this character, you can buy whatever you like, including Trophy Collector, and you will win.
There is nothing more rewarding.
I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding. Okay, no Trophy Collector, perfect build. You buy that item, you don't die, and then you buy whatever you like. Torment pulls is core in this character because he doesn't die, right? He's just gonna be in your face at all times. And then you just spam your Burrow, you spam your Sandblast, you spam your 4, and you spam everything. So superior cooldown is really good on Moan Krill because every ability gets a lot stronger when you have lower cooldown. Yo guys, yo, best build in the game, Metro Gun Paige. Completely not troll if you see me play this. It's so good. This is another character PG has played for a while. Like, this is a support character, right? You're kind of a kitten. You put full shields on the air on your teammates, and then you put Guardian Ward on them, right? And then Splitshot is obviously very strong on her gun because like it's hard to aim with it, but like if it hits, it does a lot of damage. So this is like just a solid like orange item early, and then yeah. I recommend Piggy's build here. It's just a very supportive build, right? You buy like knockdown to get the enemy down. And interestingly enough, I haven't played Paige that much. I do think Paige needs some buffs. Piggy seems to be putting a lot of points or a lot of abilities imbued into the 3, which if the 3 hits, it's really strong, right? Like the root is really strong. So I actually really like how he's running knockdown and then into Mystic Expansion, because then you can kind of guarantee the 3 hit, and then you can actually catch people off. So yeah, very good build, I think. I think the one thing they need to do on this character, by the way, is buff the 1. The 1 is just like so inconsistent and does so little damage, right? Like, it's just like, it does like no damage. That's the issue.
Well, someone's looking to make a statement.
So you know, you do the thing on, like, you do the thing where you press all the buttons and then the enemy is dead instantly. That, you know, you're like, you press all the buttons and the enemy is dead instantly. Taz is one of the best players on EU ladder, and Paradox is insanely strong in comp right now, and also really good in ladder play. I think Alchemical Fire is core on this character, right? You put your wall down, you put your nade down, and you swap them into it, and then they're dead. And Headhunter works really well because the gun of this character just feels really nice. It's really easy to proc Headhunter with it, and she also really benefits from the movement speed. So at this point, right, you won't be able to die anymore. So, amazing build. I think this is a really good build by Taz. It's like the meta for Paradox. Okay, on Pocket, it does not really matter what you buy. All you have to do is do this.
I'll drain them. Teleporting.
There you go. Your job is done. And then you wait in spawn and wait for your team to kill them. You have to remember, always hide and never engage. Right? Just press 4 and then hide. Oh yeah, sorry. I forgot the Majestic Leap to get in to press the 4. Just like his Mina is fucking annoying, his Pocket is also really annoying. And I think this is still the main character of Cosmetical. Like, he has most time on this character. Eidos is really good too, by the way, obviously. And Eidos is very popular. But yeah, Cosmetical I think is a bit better on Pocket. So this build should go crazy if you want to be a little femboy pussy ass bitch. So there is Nathan's build, I will mention this. Some people run Ball. I've tried this for months, I don't think it's good. And my build right now that is popular is the classic 7 build where you max your 3 and then you ult and you go Infuser and you don't die. I don't think it's the best Pocket build anymore. Pocket build, 7 build. I recently updated this and it's not super popular because I haven't like really like promoted it on my stream or anything. But I genuinely think this is the best build in the game. So the difference is you have more gun focus again on this character. You're pretty greedy early, but the main thing is after you max your 3, you max your stun. And stun max is really strong right now. The only thing you have to keep in mind with this build is you want to put the stun on someone that doesn't have a debuff remover or a counter spell. And then it stuns the entire team because you have so much AoE, right? Because if you max your static charge, it has an insane radius, and combined with Cultist and combined with superior duration, if you get one stun off, the fight is over. I will address this real quick. I don't want to spend more time on 7, even though I'm 7 main. I think this Fury Trance item is insane for 7. Simply because the meta is spirit damage right now, and you don't use this item to lifesteal, right? It's not necessarily like good for the bullet lifesteal. It's so good because you have permanent 40 spirit resist, and you don't need to use your stamina or your spells on 7, because if you fight normally, all you do at this point, right, is you go in, you use all your shit, and then you don't need your cooldowns, right? And then I can silence myself, and it doesn't matter because I run at Mach 5 and I don't notice how all my stuns are on cooldown anyways, other than my ult, right? So you don't have to run Fury Trance, by the way. If you don't like Fury Trance, I would recommend you test it out. It carried me against like the best players in the game. I literally beat Cosmetical and Together on 2 Spirit Nukers on this in a 1v6, which is on my second YouTube channel, Short Sellout. But if you don't want to run Fury Trance, you can run Debuff Remover or Counter Spell here, and it's still gonna do work. There's only one build that comes to mind on Shiv, because Together is just the best Shiv player in the game. Yes, Together is the best Shiv player in the game. Like, there are a lot of good Shiv players, but Together is like a step above all of them. Like, this is the best Shiv player in the game. And his new build is called Together Spirit, and Spirit is the way to go. They buffed both his dash and the knives. So follow this build, run knives, hit your dashes, and you're gonna do insane. Shiv is actually a very strong character. You do have to learn getting into it, and I do think Spirit is a bit harder to play than the Brain Dead Shiv play style we had, right? Where you run gun or melee. But this is the best build in the game, for sure.
Can we please pretend to like each other for 60 minutes?
Okay, for the one viewer that's gonna watch this that plays this character, I don't know. Nobody plays this character. I almost want to recommend the Piggy as a gun build. I think it's kind of a meme, right? But like, so if you're one of the two, again, if you're one of the 2 Sinclair players in the chat, we're gonna recommend Raigeki. I don't know anything about this character. I've played him once and it's not my playstyle, and I'm not educated enough to give you better advice on that character.
The pain doesn't get any better.
Now, I am very opinionated about this character here. So, the classic playstyle to run Victor though I do think he's pretty weak right now. The classic playstyle is running full spirit early. And I agree with these early items. This makes 100% sense. So ABL's build looks very, very strong. And then he goes into gun and frenzy later. And honestly, this looks like a better version of my build. I was gonna go into my build with like more gun items, but this looks just very good. Ah yeah, this racism won again, guys. Yeah, this is super solid. So the point, the way this character works right now is pretty solid in lane, and then he's kind of useless for multiple minutes, more like 10 to 15 minutes, where you just have to farm, right? And you use your 3 to farm with the spirit resilience, and then once you get to leech, he's unkillable, and then the game is over. You have to get to that point though. That's the issue. So this character is insane. If you farm, but because he needs so much farm, he's actually quite weak unless you're in low rank. ABL's build looks very solid. I will actually have to play this. This looks like a very good build. No, full spirit is not better. And that's what I'm very opinionated about. Like, good players will get out of the radius of your 3. And if you get out of the radius of the 3, this character is very weak. And the gun actually has decent scaling. It has the 6th highest gun damage in the game, in late game. Running gun items is super solid on this character. Most people think you want to run it later. And again, this build runs it later, but it's so strong. Vindicta actually got nerfed quite a lot. The nerfs hit her hard.
All I have is revenge.
This just pause for a second. This was a build that had me have the idea of making this. This is the most popular Vindicta build in the game, and it runs point blank. Somehow this ended up as the most popular Vindicta build when it's absolute garbage. It runs double resiliences and split shot, and you don't want to be point blank range, and you also are not very tanky, so you don't want to run resist items on this character like this. This is horrible. I don't know why this is the most popular Vindicta. Anyone playing this, I feel bad for you. Okay, I was gonna say Vegas knows what he's doing, but I do think this playstyle is out of date. Where you run, like Tether is obviously a lot weaker. So I do think if you want to carry pubs with this, you probably want to go gun right now. Or more gun. Okay, it's gonna be hard for me to evaluate this character because I think this Tether playstyle is so much weaker that it's probably not worth it anymore. So I will trust chat here. If chat is wrong, you let me know in the YouTube comments. People are saying that the spirit version is still better. And this is a recently updated version, and this is running the spirit stuff. Lots of debuffs. Superior duration. This is a shred Vindicta. Okay. I'm down for this. Danjo debuff Vindicta. Second build, not this one. Ah, okay. This makes more sense. There's a bit more gun items in this. Okay. No, this looks good. Okay. I'm happy we have a build that uses the gun more. I'm down for this. The most broken character in the game, and nobody realizes. Right here. Yeah, somehow I have a lot of viewers that play this character, actually. Liam, Felgor, and Goober. Like, there's a lot of people in my chat that love this character. Yeah, we'll have to go with the classic. Yeah, right click. Has the meta for Vyper changed? So the thing is, the last patch, right? The last patch we had spirit buffs. But nobody's running spirit, it feels like. Like, I've not seen... in general, I think Vyper is very weak right now. And yeah, I guess I have to recommend. Sigma is a Vyper one trick, and his Vyper is very strong. I lost scrims to him with Vyper. It seems very good. And Sigma seems to think, yeah, this was updated after the patch. Sigma, no. I have to shout out Sigma here. It just doesn't seem like more. Like, I thought after the patch that we're gonna see more purple items to make the spirit portion a bit more viable. And I looked at Zera's off stream actually. He hasn't updated it. Zera hasn't played Vyper in a while. For good reason. So, Sigma Vyper is for sure probably the most solid build you can run on ladder right now. At least from the top, like the top daily builds. So Hood, for whatever reason, removed his build because he doesn't want to share the secrets anymore. But I think there's a better build than Hood. Which is literally Hood's build. It's the same build. It's a bit different. There's a few more items. Hood stopped running Fleetfoot for whatever reason, which I find crazy. So, I'll talk about this real quick because some people were asking, like, why... Like, some people in lower rank seem to think Gun Warden is pretty solid. Gun Warden is pretty bad, but if you don't have a team, right, it can work. The thing that makes Warden strong right now is still the ult. you basically, you win the lane by spamming your flask Quicksilver reload, and then everything you buy after just makes your ult stronger, right? This helps you farm, this extends your ult reach, extends your ult damage, and then you go Majestic Leap. And then all you do is you go into more Spirit, because the Spirit scales the gun fire rate on Warden. And then you buy Lightning Scroll, and then you do the thing, right? Where you go, bub, 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 and then they're dead. And with this build, not only does the ult last for 20 years, I didn't level it up, by the way. Okay? Not only does it last for 20 years, it literally has like a 70-second cooldown, basically. It's like 98 seconds, but after the ult is over, it's like 70 seconds, or like 75. And that's the only way to really play the character, because the gun is just kind of weak right now. Yeah, this character is crazy, but you want to run it as ult, and I will recommend Geist. He's a really good Warden player, and this build, I tried multiple times. It works really well in ladder play and comp, like even pro play. It's very good. The only thing I would recommend is like read what it says, because it wants you to spend like 1-6 and 3-2 to get like more health here, right? So it could be made a bit more clear. But basically you go from left to right, and then you buy another 2 spirit items or 2 green items, whatever you need, to get more tanky. Okay, this is not even biased, by the way, but my build is literally the best build in the game for Wraith. It's not even close. Whatever the fuck this is, uninstall. It's like my build, but a bit worse, because it's not running. Like, this character does most of the damage right now with cards. I tried running gun with her, it's just not good enough right now. I'll make a full Wraith guide soon, probably out in the next few days, depending on when you're watching this, if you're watching on YouTube. But this is like just the most solid. Capacity got buffed, so you want to run this pretty early. And then you run whatever you need, if you need more resists. This is like the perfect distribution for this character. You do a lot of damage with your gun, but you also do a ton of spirit damage. And you become very survivable because of Leech. You can skip spirit shielding in this build, by the way, if you don't need it. But in reality, you will always need... It's 400 extra HP is the way you want to think about it. Sometimes I buy this later, but like I think it's too good to not run. I think it's just fortitude for half the price, kinda. Late game, you just want to do more. If you need more damage, you buy Boundless, right? And then your card damage and your Mercurial damage goes up insanely, right? And if you need more survivability, you buy Siphon. Linus in chat goes Yamato build. I'm top 50 Yamato EU. See, I would say I like the idea of Gun Yamato. But you're running Fortitude, which I hate. I hate this. I think it's so bad. And isn't Spirit just better? I mean, this can work. Don't get me wrong. Like, for low ranks, this can definitely work. But, like, I have to. I'm biased. Yeah, like, Fred has been the Yamato go-to guy for such a long time. And he plays that character. He has thousands of hours on this character. Like, Fred is, like, the biggest Yamato main in the game. And I don't play this character. But I know Ronald/Fred knows what he's doing. So... For Yamato, we're going with Ronald Yamato. I know he's good, and I know he plays the game correctly. And I'm not saying that gun build is bad, by the way. Like, I like the idea, but...